there! It's so good to see you! Is math difficult to learn? Don't worry, we'll make it easy for you!
We're going on an adventure today! Let's go!
Have you ever tried to split a restaurant bill with friends? Or follow a baking recipe? Or, just share a pizza without starting a fight? If you have, you've used fractions. They can seem a little scary at first, but honestly, they're one of the most useful tools we have in math. So today, we're gonna break them down piece by piece, starting with that classic pizza problem.
So let's meet Tom and Jerry. They've got 2 pizzas and they've got a problem, a classic one. How do you share stuff fairly when you can't just hand out whole things? I mean, this is exactly the kind of puzzle that fractions were invented to solve. And there it is, the big question. How can things be divided evenly? For forever, people have needed a way to talk about parts of a whole. It didn't matter if you were dividing up land, sharing food, or measuring out ingredients for a project. You needed a system.
And the hero that solves this problem? The fraction. The easiest way to think about it is with a chocolate bar. Imagine you break it into 2 equal parts, and you take one of those parts. Well, you have 1 part out of a total of 2. That's 1/2, or 1/2. The top number, the numerator, is just how many pieces you have, and the bottom number, the denominator, is how many pieces make up the entire bar. That's it. That's a fraction.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're gonna solve that pizza problem. Then we'll see what happens when you have more than one whole thing. After that, we'll uncover the secret identities of fractions, how they can look totally different but be exactly the same. We'll learn why it's best to keep them simple, and finally, we'll meet the whole fraction family. It's gonna be great. Let's do it. All right, part 1, the pizza problem. Let's dive right in with the absolute core idea here. A fraction, at its most basic, is just a way to talk about a piece of a single whole thing. 1 pizza, 1 chocolate bar, 1 anything. Just look at this bar right here. It's 1 whole bar, right? But it's been divided into 9 equal little parts. Now, 3 of those parts are shaded in, so that gives us our fraction. We have 3 shaded parts out of a total of 9. 3/9. This is what's called a proper fraction because it's a proper piece of something. It's always less than 1 whole. Okay, that makes total sense for 1 chocolate bar. But what happens when you have a pile of things to share, not just a single item? Well, let's move on and see how this whole idea gets even more powerful. So here's a new puzzle for you. You've got 9 apples, and you want to share them fairly among 4 friends. Well, you can give each friend an apple, then another apple. But then you're stuck, right? You've got 1 apple left and 4 people staring at it. How do you describe how much apple each person actually gets in the end? This is where fractions really have to level up. To solve this apple problem, we need to introduce a new type of fraction. You see, with a proper fraction, the top number is always smaller than the bottom. It's just a piece of one thing. But when the top number is bigger than the bottom, we call it an improper fraction. It's not that it's wrong or anything, it's just called that because it represents more than one whole thing. Let's actually see this in action. On the left, that's our classic proper fraction, just a part of 1 whole bar. But on the right, that's our apple problem. We have 9 apples to divide among 4 people. As a fraction, we literally just write that as 9/4, or 9/4. It might look a little weird, but it's a totally correct way to show what's happening. So what does 9/4 even mean in the real world? Well, let's go back to those apples. If you give each of your 4 friends 2 whole apples, you've handed out 8 apples. You've got 1 left over. So what do? You slice that last apple into 4 equal pieces, quarters, and give 1 piece to each person. So everyone gets 2 whole apples and 1/4 of an apple. We write that as 2 1/4. And that's a mixed fraction. It's just a much friendlier, more intuitive way of writing an improper fraction. Okay, get ready because this next idea is one of the coolest, kind of mind-bending things about fractions. How is it possible that 1/2 is the exact same thing as 2/4, or even 50/100ths? Let's check it out. Now, I want you to just look at this for a second. We've got 3 bars here. The first one shows 1/2 shaded. The second one is cut into 4 pieces with 2 of them shaded. And the third is cut into 8 little pieces with 4 of them shaded. But look closer. The total amount that's shaded in is exactly the same in all 3 bars. What you just saw with your own eyes, that's the magic of equivalent fractions. They're just different names for the exact same amount. So 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8, they might look different, but they're all part of the same family. They all represent the exact same value. And the best part is, you can create them yourself, like an infinite number of them. It's so easy. Just take any fraction, let's say 1/2. Pick any number you want, let's go with 2, and just multiply the top times n the bottom by that number. So 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and boom, 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. You can do that with any number forever. Okay, so if there are literally infinite ways to write the same fraction, which one are we supposed to use? That is an excellent question, and it leads us right to our next big idea, keeping things simple. To keep everything clear and easy, mathematicians basically have a friendly agreement. Whenever possible, always use the simplest name for a fraction. That just means using the smallest whole numbers you can. Think of it like tidying up. A fraction is in its simplest form when you can't divide both the top and the bottom number by anything else to make them smaller. And why does this even matter? Well, it all comes down to clarity. I mean, what's easier to picture in your head? 1/2 of a pizza or 50/100ths of a pizza? They're the same amount of pizza, but 1/2 is just instantly understandable. Using the simplest form just makes communicating way easier. Wow, okay, we've gone from a single pizza to apples to infinite versions of the same fraction. So let's take a breath, bring all these pieces together, and do a quick recap of the whole fraction family we've met so far. So here it is, our fraction toolkit. You've got your proper fraction for when you're talking about a piece of something, the improper fraction for when you have more than one whole thing, the mixed fraction, which is its much friendlier cousin. You've got equivalent fractions, all the different disguises for the same value. And hey, let's not forget the unit fraction. That's any fraction with a 1 on top, and it represents one single basic slice of the whole. These guys are the main players in the world of fractions. And this, right here, is why this all matters so much. Fractions are not just for your math class. They are absolutely everywhere. They're in the 3/4 cup of flour for your cookies, they're in the 1/2 inch wrench your mechanic is using, and they're in the 25% or 1/4 off sale at your favorite store. They're literally the language we use to describe the world around us with any kind of precision. So we started this whole journey with a simple pizza problem, and we ended up with this powerful, logical toolkit for understanding the world. By just breaking it down, step by step, we saw that fractions aren't scary at all, they're just a clever tool for sharing and measuring. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other parts of math that seem so complex are actually just simple, elegant ideas, just waiting for us to understand them.